Naruto wasn't alone though and enlisted the help of Tazuna and the people of Nami who wished to migrate to the rebuilding nation. Naruto accepted their request to stay with open arms, and the people worked tirelessly to restore the once beautiful village. By the end of 2 years, Yuzu had been reborn as a beautiful nation, while the land of Nami was used as an outpost for trades and goods. Naruto was appointed as Uzukage, even though he felt he wasn't worthy, while he set up a small council that he called Shiro Renji, White Lotus. It was named so because it was the rarest flower of Yuzu, and its beauty was unmatched. Naruto had also enlisted the old members of Jiraiya's spy network as honorary members of the Shiro Renji, and had them give him updates on the other villages. The last thing he did in preparation of the village was set up an alliance with the one man he saw as a brother, Sabaku no Gaara. Tsunagakure was more than happy to agree to the alliance with Yuzu, and Naruto was pleased with their acceptance. The Kages had met in Nami to solidify the alliance as well as allow Naruto and Gaara to catch up. Gaara was impressed with his brother's current success and determinedly stated that their alliance would hold strong. After they went their separate ways, Naruto contacted some old acquaintances of his to set up more alliances and promote good relations. The nations chosen were Aim, Yuki, Oanai, Hoshi, and the Nadeshiko village, and they all accepted the alliance with Naruto. It slightly surprised the blonde when he received word that the priestess of Oanai, Cheyenne, had met another to help her keep the priestess line alive, but he was happy that she still accepted the alliance. In exchange for some advanced seals made by Naruto, they offered supplies, technology from Yuki, and some shinobi from the villages to increase Yuzu's own shinobi force. After all, one lone shinobi is definitely not enough to be counted as a shinobi village, even if the single shinobi is Naruto. It seemed as though things were looking up for the future. However, Naruto would soon see that the future would turn drastic. 18 years later, Yuzu. Naruto was currently holding off a battalion of soldiers from an alliance between Iwa and Kumo. It stunned him how history had seemed to replay itself since the two villages feared Yuzu's rapid growth in force and alliances. He was also caught completely off guard by the invasion force. Apparently the Shiro Renji members that were stationed in Iwa and Kumo were discovered and killed. Naruto cursed as he activated a defensive seal that released multiple Katon, fire element, jutsu against the forces and activated his Kyubi Sennin mode. Using his speed, he began decimating the forces left and right, while the Katon seals distracted them. He was determined to defend his home, and was able to hold them all off easily, while his shinobi rallied behind him and prepared to defend their home and their leader. Suddenly, a giant arrow made of dark chakra was fired towards the group, and Naruto defended them with a well-timed Bijou Rasengan, tailed beast spiral sphere. When the dust created from the clash cleared, Naruto was shocked to see Sasuke, Team Taka with the exception of Karen, and Orochimaru standing in front of the dual forces. Naruto glared at the Uchiha in rage and yelled, "Sasuke, what are you doing to Yuzu?" Sasuke smirked at Naruto and responded, "What does it look like, Dobe? I'm taking away everything you hold dear just like your old village did to me. I left Konoha, team. I'm no longer a part of it." "That may be, but you used to be." "It doesn't matter though, seeing as how we've already destroyed it." Naruto froze at the Uchiha's statement. "What do you mean? Why would you destroy the leaf, Sasuke?" "Because they deserved it, that's why. Konoha is filled with nothing but worthless fools who feared the Uchiha and their potential." He then chuckled darkly before he confirmed, "I guess their fear was justified since I wiped out that pathetic excuse of a village." Naruto shook with rage at that statement. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, and yet he also could believe it. He knew Sasuke wasn't lying, but he didn't want to believe it. His resolve set, Naruto activated one last seal that the enemy was closest to. "I suppose the promise I made to Sakura no longer matters anymore. Goodbye, Sasuke. Fuin Jutsu, Bungshi Fuian, Sealing Art, Certain Death Seal." The ground beneath the enemy forces glowed in the design of a massive rune circle colored blood red while Naruto activated another seal. "Get behind me!" He ordered his people before he cried out, "Fuin Jutsu, Jinsei Tate Fuyan, Sealing Art, Life Shield Seal. Just like the seal under the enemy, a rune circle appeared under the people of Yuzu. However, this circle was colored a golden yellow color. The circles expanded and trapped both forces in their respective zones with no means of escape. They inched closer and closer to one another while the people under the Bungshi Fuyan tried desperately to break out using any jutsu or technique they knew. Sasuke Susanoo wasn't even enough to break through it, much to the Uchiha's surprise and rage. As soon as the rune circles were about to touch, Naruto said to Sasuke, "I hope you enjoy your stay in hell, team." After his final statement, the circles finally touched and caused an explosion of incredible proportion that obliterated everyone and everything not within the Jinsei Tate Fuyan. The smoke from the explosion rose up and gained what appeared to be a mushroom shape in the air, while the shockwave from the technique blew back everything. The protective seal held strong though, and after about 15 minutes of waiting, it finally dispelled itself and revealed the aftermath of the explosion. Yuzu was once again destroyed, but there were no ruins at all this time. It was all gone, and Naruto grew sorrowful at what his creations had done. With a heavy heart, he turned to the people who had faithfully followed him and whispered, "I'm sorry," before he disappeared in a flash of yellow. The people of the once rebuilt Yuzu would never see their Sandaime Yuzukage again. 70 years later, Konoha ruins. A now 116-year-old Naruto, though he only appeared to be 26, stared out towards the ruins of Konoha like he had done during his self-appointed exile from Yuzu. He knew that the world did not need Jinchuriki any longer, since they brought nothing but chaos and destruction to the world, and he believed that he was to blame for the world's downfall. He hadn't changed much during his exile. He mainly looked much more mature and battle-hardened due to defending the home of his deceased friends and other precious people. Upon returning to the destroyed village of Konoha, he spent a great deal of time making makeshift graves for each person he could positively remember from his time in the village, the main ones being the Konoha shinobi he grew up with, Tsunade, Shizune, the Ichiraka chefs, and Anko. His attire had changed once again during his time in the village remains. He kept his Sannin coat, wore a long-sleeved black shirt with a armored shoulder plate on his left side, blood-red cargo pants with Konoha's symbol stitched to the sides in gold lettering, black ANBU boots, and the headband of Yuzu wrapped around his left bicep. The most notable change was the blonde's hair. He never once cut it, and it grew into a style very much like that of the Uchiha patriarch, Madara I. When asked why by his tenant, Naruto responded, "So I'll never forget the man who started it all." He turned to Obito, who in turn made Sasuke who he was before his death. Kyuubi respected that answer, but was still slightly unnerved by the new look. Over the years, he had increased his skills in Futon, Raiton, and Fuinjutsu to unmatched levels, and also learned medical jutsu to the point of being able to heal moderate wounds such as a broken bone. The Uzumaki also trained Kyuubi and Gamma Sannin modes to the point of gaining a high form of empathy. It enabled him to feel the energies of millions and stretch his senses for miles upon miles. He felt their anger, their despair, their anguish, and their destruction all throughout his exile, yet he stayed away. He would not interfere with the world and its problems anymore due to a new sense of apathy for the world and its constant destruction. How could he ever hope to care for a world that would not even save itself from its own destruction? No, his time as peacekeeper ended decades ago. Still though, living in a time where it was nothing but war and violence didn't seem too appealing to the seemingly immortal Jinchuriki. So, he had been preparing for his nap, as Kurama endearingly labeled. The nap would be initiated by the now completed Jaya Kasetsu Fuyan being activated on Naruto. Since his aging was already slowed due to the Kyuubi, Naruto, and the fox believed that the seal would slow it even further to the point of halting it altogether. This did not stop the fox from worrying about its container. "Kit, are you sure about this?" the Kyuubi asked Naruto as the blonde readied the seal. The two were now currently under the ruined village in a cavern-like chamber that Naruto had filled with various seals. Having 100 years to study Fuinjutsu had made him a master unlike any other, and it was his seals that brought the world's destruction. "Yes, Kurama, I am sure. I've had 70 years to think this over, and my mind's made up. This time does not need us, so we will wait and sleep until a time where we are needed arises, Naruto mentally answered his tenant. The Kyuubi sighed at its container's decision. It knew that Naruto had given up on this time, but the fox did not think that the blonde would actually seal himself away. Before you activate the seal, what are you going to have as the requirements to remove it? Naruto was silent as he thought it over. After what had seemed like hours, he finally made his decision. The requirements to remove this seal will be that the remover must be strong-willed, they must have a pure soul, and they must have the blood of this time flowing through them. Only with those requirements will one be able to remove the seal. He then activated the seals surrounding the cavern with the Kyuubi's Yuki, an action that confused the fox. Naruto decided to elaborate. Those seals will allow you to see those who enter this place. You will be the one who judges them, Kurama, since you are the better of the both of us at sensing the worth in people. Once they have your approval, the seal will be able to be removed. How will I know when someone has entered? Their blood must touch any part of the cavern. If their blood has the essence of this time flowing through it, then the seals will activate. Once it does, you will be able to see if they are worthy. I'm counting on you for this, Kurama. The fox's gaze softened at its container. It was ironic that the being that caused Naruto so many problems in his life was the one being that he fully trusted. You can count on me, Naruto. Naruto smiled at the fox when he said his name. The Kyuubi only called him by name when he sympathized with Naruto and truly felt for him. He mentally held out his fist, which the fox bumped its own against, before stating, I know I can. I'll see you when I wake up. Naruto then cut the mental connection before putting in the requirements for removal on the tag holding the Jaya Kasetsu Fuian. After he finished, he placed the seal on his chest and whispered, Fuian, seal. Once the seal had activated, the runes slowly spread around Naruto's body, save for his head, and covered it in a white substance that wrapped around him in a cocoon of sorts and attached itself to the wall behind him. Unknown to him, the spirits of the world began their own plan to save the world by creating a bridge between their world and the mortal world. The being would be the replacement peacekeeper of the Child of Prophecy, and would be known as the Avatar. And years later, the era of benders had begun along with many changes to the once shinobi-filled world. 4,997 years later, 3 years before Atla canon. People never forgot about the Age of Shinobi, which was now known as the Age of Chaos, or of the fabled Hero of the Flame. Naruto's story was held in high regard by all nations, and there were many who believed that he was still out there, no matter how impossible the idea seemed. Over the years after Naruto's sealing, people with the natural ability to use the elements of air, water, earth, and fire came into fruition. These people were called benders, due to making the elements bend to their will. Unfortunately, these new abilities brought new ways to separate and destroy the world. The people of the air nomads, were once a peaceful race. They lived in large temples and traveled the world on their flying bison. They were the most spiritual of all the cultures and lived in harmony with nature. They also were fun-loving people and had a strong sense of humor. The airbenders utilized their talent over the air by drawing it out in circular motions as well as using it to evade their opponents. This reluctance for offensive techniques was due to their passive nature. Unfortunately, the peaceful people were victims of genocide at the start of Sozin's 100-Year War while the current avatar had disappeared without a trace. The people of the water were a respectable people and were known as the water tribes. They strived to live in harmony with nature and with the other nations of the world while using their bending for protection and healing purposes. There were two primary groups of water tribes, the northern and the southern, with some smaller tribes spread out around the world. However, it was hard for the main tribes to keep contact with one another due to being on polar opposites of the world. The northern tribe inhabited the North Pole, while the southern tribe inhabited the South Pole. Their already difficult contact practically ended with the start of the war by Fire Lord Sozin. The people of the earth were vast in number, which allowed them to form the Earth Kingdoms. Proud and strong, the Earth Kingdom citizens adhered to a philosophy of peaceful coexistence and cooperation with